Hello and welcome to Gaming. And interesting news in the world of Valve, they're being sued for $900 million, specifically over in the UK. Now, the article we'll be referencing is going to be mostly from an IGN article. Now, granted, they themselves reference the BBC article from which this is all kind of based in. We do have that article as well. It will be down in the description along with said IGN article and another later article we will be talking about later. So if you want to read the original source, which I would always recommend, y'all can go ahead and do that. So, what's new in the world of Valve? Well, nothing really, because this has actually been a lawsuit that was filed way back in 2014. Recently, however, it went through a UK ruling tribunal court, which basically is a court, if memory serves, that basically looks at a lawsuit and says, okay, there is grounds here for a legal action. You may go forward and actually officially sue them. And despite Valve kind of downplaying and saying, oh, no, 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 well, the UK seems that there is something here. The actual details of this is basically it's a collective action taken by one Vicky Shortbolt. Now, if you're not familiar with legal action technical legalese, basically a collective action is basically a class action lawsuit taken on behalf of many people via one person basically going and representing many. In this case, it is 14 million UK citizens who have bought games or add-ons and the content for Steam between 2018 and effectively now. The lawsuit alleges that Steam unfairly imposes platform obligations which prohibit and this is me quoting, which prohibit publishers from selling games on rival platforms with better terms, causing a restriction of competition. So basically, price rigging. The action also is to take aim at continuing buy ads for games bought through Steam via Valve's own marketplace, leading it to a further reduction in competition. Finally, it alleges that the Valve imposes unnecessarily high commission charges, essentially the typical 30% cut it takes when you spend money on Steam, which results in higher prices for customers. So, to make all of that a butt condenser, Valve basically leverages their place as the penultimate PC gamer platform for selling games to basically impose restrictions that say, okay, you work with us, therefore you can't go to, say, another platform before we get the thing and sell it over there for cheaper, which basically locks your actual players into buying on Valve. They can then use that to not only lock in your customers onto Valve, but they can use that leverage to then leverage high fees because, again, your customers are mostly on Steam, so you can't exactly go and restart somewhere else to get away from the high commission fees. That's basically what they're alleging here. Now, again, we have mentioned that Valve has initially contested the claim on the grounds that it lacks accurate detail both on Valve's commission structure and the actual impact on its platform party clauses. However, again, the UK tribunal does say that there is enough here for that, so I guess that doesn't hold water ultimately. And it will be interesting to see how this actually plays out, because like I said, it only recently got through the tribunals, which is, like I said, going to be interesting to watch. That said, this isn't the only lawsuit that is alleging the 30% cut. Now, this is, as far as I'm aware, the only one that alleges a kind of locking people into Steam. However, it's not the only lawsuit that alleges for basically exploitative for that 30% cut. There is another lawsuit that's been going on since 2021 brought by Wolfire Studios that also alleges a high 30% cut that basically Valve imposes and that it's basically robbery, to sum it up. In fact, in that continued court case, apparently there was a salvaged email that came up. I'm not sure how the specifics came up, but apparently in the court case of Valve v. Wolfire, there's actually an email that came up that apparently says Tim Sweeney ranted to Epic or had an email he sent to Gabe Newell where he accused Epic or where he accused Valve of basically robbery and being, I believe, assholes in his word. So yeah, interesting stuff over on that side.
Which is a little interesting.
So yeah, like I said, long story short, not the only people that Valve is being sued for on the crimes of a heavy 30% commission fee. It'll be interesting to watch, like I said. I do believe there is grounds for that. I mean, technically speaking, it does make sense. Valve has a massive foot in the market. They have a massive influence in the PC gaming space. And yeah, I could definitely see them semi exploiting that to basically gain leverage over something like Epic. Granted, me and Justin actually mentioned this yesterday while discussing things. And ultimately, regardless of how you
There's a
feel
very
about Epic,
good reason why Valve has the market that they have when it comes to like the PC gaming is because of the fact that they've catered like Steam very strongly for PC gaming and made it very appealing for people to use Steam.
yeah. And like I said, that's kind of why I said that regardless of what you think that of Val or regardless of what you think of actually Epic Game Store and Tim Sweeney and all that stuff, the fact is that yeah, a good chunk of Valve's reputation and pretty much popularity in the PC game space does again ultimately come down to the fact that functionally wise, Steam is very functional. That said, again, we got to remember way back when Epic Games was first trying to massively compete with the Steam store, they did use the excuse or the reason, in fairness, I say reason, of why they needed so many exclusive contracts with games because, exclusivity is partly the reason how Steam basically maintains its dominance over the storefront. Which, again, is also, I do believe, a good deal true. Functionality is one of them, but it's definitely also the case that they do have a bit of leveraged control over the PC industry space. So, like I said, it'll be interesting to see where these two lawsuits go. Like I said, the one in the U.S. has been going on since 2021, and this one only just recently cured the tribunal courts over in the UK. So that'll be two lawsuits that allege that Steam has pretty much price rigged, or at the very least has high commission rates. Because I think only one of them has the high price rig thing. So like I said, that'll be interesting. Thought we'd bring that up to you guys since I don't hear too many people talking about it. Not many people are like in the YouTuber space at least are talking about this, so we thought we'd mention it, see what y'all think, and let me know. What do you think? Do you think Steam is a bit too powerful than it should be? Do you think that they actually do rig prices? Do you think if Steam did not impose such extreme 30% cuts for their commission rate, that their prices would be lower and people would be able to actually charge lower prices? Let me know down in the comment section. This is actually an interesting one for discussion because again, Steam is, you can probably guess, is a rather hot button contention topic, especially among people who are very loyal to Steam. So
Yeah.
again, let me know. What do you guys think? Anyways, that brings us to the end of our show. Hope you all enjoyed. Hope you all have a good one. Like I said, all three of those will be down in the description box below if you want to read them. I suggest you do because there's a whole bunch of legalese that I pretty much just did not talk about for the sake of brevity and time. So yeah, look into that. And yeah, see you all next week, guys. Bye-bye.
Have a good one.